Today is Thursday, April the 16th, and today we are going to continue going over this EE6B assessment. I know some of you are making corrections and some of you are not, and you're more than welcome to use this video and everything I'm doing in it to help you with those corrections. Otherwise, if you're just watching, this video is also going to help you with the Google form. So the Google form that you're going to complete today, it's going to have problems just like number 3 and number 4. And I'm going to discuss some of the things on that Google form in relation to this assessment. Okay, so number 3 and number 4 were X and Y intercept problems. So it says find the X and Y intercepts, graph the linear equation on the coordinate plane. And then over here, you had to write the X and the Y intercept. So first of all, let's just talk about what an X intercept and a Y intercept is. So the X intercept is where the line, wherever you draw the line, where it crosses the X axis. So I'm just going to go back up to number 2 and just talk about where the X and Y intercept happen to be in this particular line. So the X intercept on this line, the X intercept was right here. It was where this line crossed through the X axis. And then we have the Y intercept, which we already knew the y-intercept was -4. We had graphed that. So we already see that when we have slope-intercept form, we know what our y-intercept is. It's in this one, it was -4, and that one, it was +9. So the x-intercept is not something we see in slope-intercept form. So that's why we use standard form, and then we solve for the x and the y-intercepts in standard form, and then we can graph the x and the y-intercepts on the coordinate plane. So let's go ahead and work on number 3. So number 3 says -9x plus 15y equals -45. So I'm going to just come over here on my paper and I'm going to write that problem down. -9x plus 15y equals -45. Now, this is something we learned before we were sent for Learn From Home and we were not at school anymore. But before that happened, we were working on X and Y intercepts and like some of the other things that are on this assessment. So for X intercepts, we need to set Y equal to 0. And for Y intercepts, we set X equal to 0. And that might be something you need for your Google form. So again, make sure you pay close attention to how we're doing this. So all this means is that Y is going to become a 0. So you do -9x plus 15 times 0 equals -45. And we talked about this a lot in class, that this basically just canceled out that part of the problem. But if you want to actually work it out, 15 times 0 is 0. And then, like we said, that part of the problem basically goes away. And then you're just solving this one-step equation. And then I get x equals, and I have -45 divided by 9, which gives me a +5. So that is the point. If you were to actually write the ordered pair, be the point 50. Now, I gave you different options on the test. I said you could either write x-intercept equals 5, or some of you wrote that as the point 50, which both of those were correct. Okay? All right, now let's solve for the y-intercept. So the y-intercept, you have to set the x equal to 0. So that means I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put -9 instead of the x. I'm going to put a 0, so times 0 plus 15y equals -45. So now I'm solving the same equation, except now I'm making the x 0 instead of the y, which is what I did over here. So when x equals 0, I'm going to plug that in. So that -9 times 0 becomes a 0. 15y equals -45. Of course, like we said, that part basically just goes away, kind of cancels out. Like we practiced in class, we practiced kind of covering up one of those terms. And now we're just going to solve this equation. And we end up with y equals -45 divided by 15, and we get -3. So then you would come over here on your paper, and you would have put -3 here, or you could have written it as the x is 0 and the y is -3. So either one of those would have been perfect. Now we have to graph it. So you're going to graph that point and then that point. The x-intercept is 5. So that's where the graph crosses the x-axis. So I'm on the x-axis and I'm just gonna put a point at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is the point 5, 0, just like we have listed over here. And then the y-intercept, of course, goes on the y-axis. It's -3. So I'm gonna come down here and put that there. And then I'm just going to connect those points. And that's what your graph should look like, okay? All right, so that's number 3. And then the next video is gonna show you how to do number 4, all right?